Hi, guys. Today I'm going to read to you another book, and this one is not from our Wonder series. This is a book that I had at the house. I think it's a really cute story. And as always, I have some seesaw activities for you to do afterwards, and I'll go over those when I'm done reading. This one is called Elizabeth, Queen of the Seas. It's written by Lynn Cox, and it's illustrated by Brian Floga. Lynn Cox wrote this story after she had gone to New Zealand. New Zealand is right by Australia. She had gone there and she had met a boy named Michael, and Michael told her about his friend, Elizabeth. Let's move this a little bit over. There we go. There once was a lovely elephant seal who lived in the city. Most elephant seals live in the ocean, in salt water. They sleep on rocky coasts and lie along sandy beaches. But this seal was different. She swam in the sweet, shallow waters of the Avon River, where it flowed through the heart of the city of Christchurch, New Zealand. When the seal grew tired, she'd pull herself onto the shore with her front flippers, then haul her back flippers up behind her. Moving up the soft shore like a giant inchworm, she'd stretch herself out on the long, cool grass and take a nap in the bright sunshine. And when she got hot, she used her flippers to toss huge clumps of cold, wet mud onto her back. The seal's coat was silvery brown. She was 8 feet long as a long surfboard, and she weighed 1,200 pounds, as much as 15 Labrador retrievers. The people of Christchurch knew there was something very special about her. She was strong and powerful and regal, like Elizabeth, the Queen of England. And so they named her Elizabeth, Queen of the Sea. There was a small boy named Michael who looked for the elephant seal every day on his way to school and again on his way home. Even on weekends, he walked beside the slow, swaying waters, hoping to spot Elizabeth's head bobbing above the current or see her body resting on the riverbank. Though Michael knew never to get too close to her, after all, she was a wild animal. He liked to call out her name. Elizabeth! Hello, Elizabeth, Queen of the Seas. Are you there? And if Elizabeth was near, she'd turn and look at Michael with her dark brown eyes, snort once to clear the water from her nostrils, and once again as if to say hello. And early one morning, when the grass was still wet, Elizabeth hauled herself up to the top of the riverbank and stretched out across the 2-lane road. Maybe she liked the feel of the warm firmness under her belly, or maybe it was the sunshine fanning out across her back. But whatever it was, she decided to stay. There she is in the middle of the road. And remember, this is a true story. Can you street and seeing this huge elephant seal in the middle of the street? Suddenly, there was a screeching of brakes. Elizabeth moved forward as quickly as a 1,200-pound animal with flippers for legs can. Bang! The car hit a rock and dented its fender. Elizabeth threw herself across the road. Another screech. A second car just missed running over her back flippers. Elizabeth, Queen of the Seas, slid down the riverbank and belly flopped into the water. Elizabeth escapes death by flipper's breath, the Christchurch newspaper proclaimed the next day. All over town, people were talking. Some were afraid Elizabeth would climb into the road again and be hit by a car. Others worried that she'd cause a terrible accident when cars swerved to avoid her. They decided that maybe It would be better for Elizabeth to live with other elephant seals. If she lived far away from the city, she wouldn't be a danger to anyone. So one day, a group of volunteers in a small motorboat waited until Elizabeth was in the water, then approached her slowly and gently looped a rope around her large body. As they towed Elizabeth down the Avon River, a boy watched from the bridge. "Don't take my elephant seal away," Michael cried. "This is where she belongs." But the boat went on, towing Elizabeth out past the silty brownish green river mouth into the cold, dark ocean. At last the boat reached a sandy beach where other elephant seals lived. There the crew set her free. Before Elizabeth, hundreds of elephant seals lay squished together. Huge males, 3 times the size of the females, were roaring, bellowing, and belching. Mother seals called to their babies with squeaks and squawks and whimpers, and babies squeaked back. Maybe it was because the beach was too crowded and noisy. Maybe she missed Christchurch. Or maybe there was some other reason that we can never know. But Elizabeth chose not to stay. Instead, the Queen of the Seas turned around and made herself as streamlined as possible, tucking her front flippers close into her sides so that she could move swiftly through the water. Back across the cold open ocean she swam. Where do you think she's going? And into the sweet, warm Avon River. Still on she swam, past the wispy willow trees that lined the shore, until she reached her favorite sunbathing spot by the bridge. There she hauled herself out onto the riverbank and lay across the warm road. Here she is again. "Elizabeth, you're home!" Michael shouted. And Elizabeth lifted her big head, looked at him with her dark brown eyes, snorted loudly once, and then snorted again. It wasn't long before people all over Christchurch were running down to the riverbank or jumping on their bicycles to come see Elizabeth. The traffic safety officers called the boat crew, who caught Elizabeth once again. This time they towed Elizabeth to a seal colony far, far away from the city. Each day, Michael looked for his friend on the way to school and on his way home. Each day, there was no sign. But then one day, miraculously, Elizabeth was back, looking up at Michael and snorting before pulling her great body out to sun herself along the road. When Elizabeth was taken away the next time, people thought they would never see her again. The boat towed Elizabeth hundreds of miles from Christchurch before letting her go. And as the seal pulled herself out of the ocean water onto some large rocks along the shore, the boat turned and headed back to Christchurch. A month passed. Michael and his friends rode their bikes and swam in the river. They explored, built forts, and lay in the wild fields outside Christchurch, reading great books. And always they watched for Elizabeth. A second month passed, and then almost a third. Michael watched the water, and he wished upon the stars. And then, one warm summer morning, Elizabeth was back. There in the water beneath the bridge was the beautiful elephant seal who weighed as much as 15 Labrador retrievers. "Welcome home, Elizabeth!" Michael shouted. Elizabeth looked at him with her dark brown eyes, snorted once and once again. Michael ran to tell his friends, who told their families, who all came down to the spot on the bridge. Looking out into the sun-speckled water, they all cried, "Welcome home, Queen of the Seas!" The people of Christchurch loved Elizabeth, and so they decided to put up a sign on the road where she liked to sleep. It was a bright yellow sign with large black letters. On it, it said, "Slow, Elephant Seal Crossing. To this day, townspeople wonder how Elizabeth managed to travel so far. They know she must have swum through huge waves against strong currents. She must have swum tired, but still kept on swimming. She must even have swum while she slept, night after day after night. And they like to imagine that at last, when she reached the mouth of the Avon River, she swam upon a stream of moonlight until she reached the shore. There once was a lovely elephant seal who lived in the city, and that is exactly where she belonged. And at the very end of this book, there is a little passage about Elizabeth and about elephant seals, and then there's a picture of her. Remember, I said this is a true story, so this is the actual photograph of her. I'm going to take a picture of this and dojo that to your parents so that you can take a look at that if you want to. So there are 3 activities you can do on Seesaw. And it talks about, the first one is about the continents, knowing where the continents are. The continent of Australia is right where New Zealand is. So once you place all your continents, you'll be able to see New Zealand also. And then there's another one where you label oceans, and your parents might have to help you with that. And the last one is actually a math one, but it takes place in the ocean. So you can create a story problem or a word problem that takes place in the ocean. And if you want to include seals in your word problem, you can use addition or subtraction. Whatever you want to do is fine. So just a word problem or a story problem. And that's the one that has a picture of the ocean on it. You'll see it. I can't wait to see all your Seesaw submissions. And I will see you guys on Wednesday for our Zoom meeting. Bye, guys.